This is my review after 1 month of wear of the RM Williams Craftsman. They're the ones with the leather sole and also the leather insole. How are they? Well, I like them. And if you like nice things, you'll probably like them too. And if you've been thinking about getting some, you probably should get some. Scratch that itch, they're worth getting. Over the last month, I would have worn the shoes, give or take 15 days. Always let them air out a day in between use, just to get any extra moisture out of them. It's probably a good tip for any good leather shoe that you have. The more moisture in them, the quicker they're going to break down. During the last month, I haven't suffered any major pain or discomfort wearing the boots. That's obviously always a plus. And I do wear them quite regularly, including a 8-hour day at our local Perth Royal show, which was a lot of walking around, and I didn't suffer any pain. By the end of the day, I was happy to take the shoes off, take the boots off, but that would have been the same, I'd imagine, for any shoe I was wearing that day. So I'm pretty happy with that. There's no major discomfort I've had to get over in breaking in these boots. Having said that, when you first do get them, it does kind of feel like you're walking around on a wooden board. The sole and the insole, all that leather compressed together, it is pretty stiff and rigid. And probably only in the last couple of wears they've really started to, come into their own and started to feel like they're a part of your foot as opposed to just something you're wearing on your foot. So I look forward to more break-in and getting more and more comfortable and more relaxed as they mold to your foot and the leather relaxes, including the sole and the insole. Fucking nailed it. As I stick my hand in the boot, just to give a feel of what's happening inside, you can feel the leather inner sole. It started to give to the shape of my foot. You can feel the ball of my foot pretty predominantly, and also the big toe. The other toes are starting to come in, but it's not quite there. So that would be the leather compressing, and also the cork layer between the sole and the inner sole starting to move around and compress to the shape of your foot. So hopefully it's going to get just better and better from here, and we'll see how we go. Let's take a closer look at the boots. I purposely haven't cleaned them or touched them in any way in 1 month. I wanted to see myself how they were going to hold up without giving them any helping hand. You can see a few scuffs that I've had kicking around. Looks like it's taken a layer of polish off, but we'll have a look when we hit that with the horsehair brush and see if that doesn't buff out, or we might need to add a bit of polish on top of that. You can see here on this toe, I think they come with quite a thick layer of polish, and it looks like there's a bit of cracking in the polish, so you can see where my big toe pushes up against the boot there. We'll be interested to see how that looks after I give it a bit of a rub down and see how we go. We can see the rest of the boot is worn in reasonably well. The folds in the boot are starting to come in. It's not something that I worry about. I actually quite enjoy the look of the twists and turns and the leather. And when I have my foot inside, it does stretch it out anyway, and they're not very predominant. But if that's something you don't like, you probably want to invest in something like some tree shoes or something like that to keep them stretched out when you're not wearing them. Looking at the soles of the shoe, I'm pretty happy with them, with one exception. The amount of wear that I've got with the amount of walking that I do, I think is pretty reasonable. You can see pretty similar. You can see a heel. If I have a closer look here, the heel wears, which I think is pretty typical for how most people walk. The only time I felt lacking for traction was at the Royal Show that I went to, and I was trying to walk up a grassy, sandy hill, and wasn't very successful. I had to heel stomp my way up to get up there. But in general, walking around the city, but the grip from these leather soles has been pretty good for me. Back to the exception is the amount of wear that I'm getting on the toe drag. I don't know if you're going to be able to appreciate the amount, but there looks like an extra mil or two has been worn off the toe rather than the rest of the boot. And you're going to quite clearly wear out that portion of the boot a lot quicker. So much so that I think I'm going to go talk to my local cobbler and see if he can't rectify the situation with some toe plates or toe taps or something that else he recommends. Stay tuned for that and see what happens in this space. I'm going to give the shoes just a quick run over with a stiff brush and maybe a condition, and we're going to come back and see if they look any better, see if I can't buff out that scuff there. I ended up just doing a bit of conditioning on them with the brush. I'll leave polishing them to another time. I don't think you should do it at the same time. I'm just letting the conditioner soak in for a bit, and then we'll give them a buff off with a cloth and we'll see how they go. I'm going to use a clean part of my dirty cloth now to take off any conditioner left over that hasn't soaked in. Well, that's the results there I got. Long way from perfect, but taking the dirt off at least. Probably close enough for government work. That's good enough for me. You can see here I didn't put any polish on myself, but a fair bit rubbed off from the boots from the store. In summary, I've enjoyed owning the boots so far, and I think I'm going to enjoy owning them for a fair bit more. If only to make what you have on your feet a bit more interesting. It's only going to be interesting to you. No one else is going to care what you have or what you're wearing. But if you do, get yourself a pair. And if you care about anything else, get yourself something that's going to be of interest to you and enjoy it. Thanks very much.